Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'll be showing you how I made this beautiful Puletasi. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of these videos. The fabric I'm using here is a polyester stretch, and I start off by folding it in half, right sides together. And then straight on the fabric I add my measurements starting from the neckline, bust, below bust, waist, hips, and then the last dot there is the full length of the top. After I mark in my measurements lengthwise, I'm going to add my measurements widthwise. That's the measurement around the bust, below bust, waist, and then hips. After I have all my measurements marked out, I then start joining the dots, and as you can see, the shape for our top is starting to form. Over here I am adding in measurements for my neckline and then my armhole. Now I'm going to use the front part to cut out the back part for the top. Notice I have about 2.5 inches of seam allowance in the center back there. That is where our zipper is going to go. For the neckline, the back is slightly higher than the front. I've also added nicks on both ends so I know where my seam allowance is to go. For the sleeves, I'm cutting out 2 on fold. Here I am putting in my measurements for over the shoulder. Here I am putting in my measurement for the upper sleeve, width of the upper sleeve, then the length of the sleeve, and then the width of the lower sleeve. So now we have basically all the major parts that we need for the top. The back, you should have 2 pieces for the back. And then your front, it's 1 piece. And your 2 sleeves. We're gonna start with prepping our back. Here I am measuring out how long my opening for the zipper will be and where my seam line will go. This is where my seam lines are going to be. Here I am putting in my dots for the back. Stitch the center back, leaving the top part for the zipper opening. Back tack and go all the way down, and then back tack at the end as well. Sew in your dots on both sides. This is what the back should look like after joining the center back and putting in your dots. And this here should be the opening for your zip. Here I am replacing my regular foot with the zipper foot. This is a standard zip. I always like to test the zipper if it's okay after putting it in. For the front, I've added in 2 cuts as seen here to create a princess cut look. This is what it should look like after we stitch it and then we overlock. Next I prepare my sleeves. These are about 2.5 inches wide. To create these, I fold both sides of the strips inside, and then again I fold it in half. I stitch both edges to create the look that I'm after. Repeating the same steps so I can get enough strips for what I need. When I have enough strips, I'm gonna measure and cut them. These are about 3 inches in length. After preparing my strips, I take my sleeves, fold them both in half, align them together. Measure out how much I need to take out for the strips to go in, and then cut it off. For the parts that I cut off the sleeves, I cut them again in two, giving me 4 pieces to work with, and for each of these 4 pieces I overlock one end. Over here I'm measuring out the gap between each strip will go. This is about 1.5 inches in between each strip. This is how I attached my strips to the sleeves. First I've got the sleeve part down, that's half of the sleeve, and then strips in between, and then the long piece that we overlocked one edge on top. Also note that I have raw edges of both the sleeve and the material on top of the strips facing the same direction. After attaching our strips to one side of the sleeve, flip it over, take the other half off the sleeve, make sure the right side is facing up, and attach it like so. Over here I am following the nicks that I added in earlier, and I have my long strip of fabric that was overlocked on one side on top. This is what it should look like. Fold seams on both ends outwards and stitch it down like so. This is what our sleeve should look like. After preparing our sleeves, we are now ready to attach the sleeve to the body of our top. When attaching the sleeves, always make sure that the right side of the body is facing right side of the sleeve. This is what it should look like after we attach our sleeves. To finish off the sleeve, I'm adding a folded band at the end. Note that for the sleeve band, I have folded the band right side together so that my band comes out plain. Repeat the same process for the other sleeve. Here I have already overlocked my raw edges. Next, we're going to sew up the sides. Make sure you align the sleeves, the underarms, and all the way down. My seam allowance for the sides are about 1 inch wide. After attaching the sides, make sure you overlock both sides. While overlocking the sides, make sure the front side of your garment is always facing up. From there, we can overlock the bottom of our top. Make sure the right side of your fabric is always facing up while overlocking the bottom. Next, we attach the band along the neckline. The neckline band is pretty much the same process as the sleeve band. Now with this material, my measurement for the neckline band is 1/4 less than the actual measurement of the neckline itself. And when attaching it to the neckline, stretch it out a little bit, but not too much, so that it fits around the neckline. Overlock the band after attaching it and hem the bottom, and we are done.